Hey there. Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 196 is titled Tampere Flute Fest with Lisa Nelsen.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Lisa.
Oh, my goodness. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Oh, I'm a little nervous about doing this, actually.
Oh, please don't be.
It's weird being on this side of it because I do so many things like Merv Griffin, just kind of interview people for the BFS. Good.
Well, I just saw last night your interview with the two amazing female flutists. I forget their show, but something where the three of you were sitting on bar stools. Mm-hmm. And you guys were just laughing it up and having such a wonderful time. So you're a natural.
That was fun. They're two flute loops.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, they're really old. They're good friends. Not really old. I didn't say that. They're good friends.
I was wondering that because I was like, either all three of them have a prior connection, or they're just really good at pulling out like the Lisa and the intimate and the comfortable Lisa. I was thinking like, oh my goodness, either they're friends or they're amazing interviewers. So that makes sense.
No, we're good friends. They're very good at interviewing and they can sort of disarm people very quickly. They're really, really good. So, yeah.
Ooh. So after seeing them, they made me nervous for today's talk.
No. Oh, not at all. Where are you calling from?
Texas.
Oh, fantastic. What part of Texas is it?
Dallas.
Oh, wow. That's somewhere. I don't know North America as well as I do England, which is just a crime because I've wanted to know, especially Texas. I know quite a few people down there. So, oh, wow.
Oh,
nice.
Cool. What part are you in?
At the moment, I live in the Midlands. I'm about 100 miles north of London.
Okay. Great.
England, so right in the middle. I'm from Edmonton in Canada, and I sort of landlocked. Well, it was very landlocked there, and I couldn't get more away from the sea on an island. You could imagine it's like equidistant between all the coasts from here.
Oh wow!
So it takes just as long to get to any coast.
How lovely. The last time I was in London was in the middle of my doctoral program with Lisa Garner Santa, and we did a week masterclass with Paul Edmund Davies.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It was an experience. And we were there, I think it was 2016. So it's been a while, but he's phenomenal.
Yeah. Was that at the Flute Kitchen?
No, it was not. We just rented out a church and we, did our thing. I think he gave a recital. I'm not sure of locations because it has been like a good 4 or 5 years, but it was completely in cahoots with Texas Tech University and Paul. So there really wasn't a program or anything like that. It was just really Lisa and Paul, because I think Lisa studied with Paul at some point in her career.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, his teaching's phenomenal. Well, his playing is phenomenal, but yeah, he's a really, really good one-to-one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think you're the first guest to have the most amazing backdrop with the green wallpaper / paint.
It's my green room, It's somebody said that because this is a room in my house where you can just disappear into, and it's sort of become our sanctuary when we just want to sit and do things. But it became my teaching room through the whole of the lockdown. And I'd just come up here and set up, and I could just keep everything in here. But somebody said at one of the podcasts or something I did, and they said, "Oh, you're sitting in the green room." Perfect. So
well, my audio sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The audio video side of me got really excited because now you don't have to put up the green screen. You could literally record and then later in like production mode put any kind of backdrop behind yourself.
I didn't even think of that. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I'll have to experiment with that. Yeah. Oh, and I just quite liked it because it's so bright, and I don't really have a desk per se where I put things, and everybody was trying to give ideas about how to set things up and what would be nice for when you do things like this for people to see. And I didn't know what to do, so this was the best wall I had in the house.
No, I love it. And I'm so glad that Beatriz introduced each other, or she introduced me to you for this wonderful Tampere Flute Fest. And you'll be one of the guest artists.
Wow. Yes. It's such an exciting thing. Through the whole thing, I think I was sort of talking to Beatriz about this too. The connections that we've been able to make. It's kind of, doesn't sound opportunistic, but it's been really, really good to be able to do this through meeting Beatriz online and just being involved in the British Flute Society stuff and wanting to create some kind of way to connect, not just here, but all over the place. So it's been amazing. Yeah. So are you a guest artist as well? Are you doing some of the judging as well?
I did judging I believe this is Tampere's third festival. And so I have been in the beginning stages from year 1, 2, and now 3. So year 1 and 2, I did some judging. This year I am not. But I am on the TFF board. I'm their official international commercial liaison. So this part of the Flute 360, Beatriz is like so smart and so genius because this is an international platform through the Flute 360 podcast. What better way to connect flutists across the globe than through a podcast? So that way, it can go out through the global airwaves.
Yeah, I think that's more important than ever right now, really, with people trying to connect and support what's going on. Yeah, that's all. I'll just leave it there. Just with what's going on, because artists like to talk about what they're doing and what they're going through, and musically, but also what to do. I think I was looking over the week the website too for 360 and the different people that you've got on the list. I think it covers so many different things that I think are important with with being online, but also in the concert platform and presentation, what people need. And it's exciting to see something that's not just about just flute playing, but it covers so many other things. So yeah, I think we need to also shout about that a little bit with our British Flute Society stuff. So.
Oh, that is so kind of you. And especially those very kind comments coming from somebody like you. Oh my gosh. I will be on cloud 10, 11, 12 now for the rest of the day. I think it's so much. I've just been talking to a friend of mine in Toronto because I'm going over in April to visit my mom. And they're just coming up out of lockdown. I don't know how it is with you guys, but there's been no masterclasses. And I think Stefan from Chicago Symphony and Marina Piccinini were trying to go up to do a masterclass. And for one reason or another, they got canceled, and they were really looking forward to doing something. So I'm hoping that we can even get together with some of the professionals and just play through stuff, like play through some Telemann or something and have a drink and some chat, but get the kids together, masks or whatever they feel safe with, just so that they can listen again. Because I don't know about you with playing,
but I was really surprised at this. My first orchestral concert, it was a little bit like you tune into things very quickly, but it's the quickness of everything wasn't quite the same. And I would sit there with all the noise, and I would get emotionally involved and think, "Oh, this is wonderful! I'm supposed to play." No, I'm not sitting in my bedroom with my headphones on. Ooh. Really tricky. Yeah. So, but just to get the life going again is good. We haven't had a live event here with the BFS yet either. We're online with the competition. So anything that will get us sort of, I don't know. Yeah. Have you been playing much at all down there?
Well, things are starting to pick back up. So like the Texas Flute Society, they will have their annual event in May. And this year it seems like it's going to be live at a high school venue. The last two festivals, I believe, and the Texas Flute Society is like really like the North Texas area. Of course, all of Texas is welcome, but the last 2 years, I believe their festivals have been remote. So I think it's a big deal now in 22 where we're going back to in person. But yeah, things are starting to pick up. I think the Dallas Opera Orchestra, they are putting together a production this week or next week. So concerts are starting to trickle back in.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Oh, it's like everybody's taking a great big deep breath and starting again.
Yeah.
But if we hadn't had this, I think it would. I mean, we've learned so much in the last 2 years.
Right.
And you started this in 20. I know you were going to, this is a podcast. I keep thinking, wait, let her talk.
No, this is your episode.
Because I'm curious, would you have done this if we hadn't had pandemic?
Interesting. I get that question a lot, actually.
Dude.
And the funny thing is, Flute 360 started 2 years before the pandemic. We started in March of 2018. So I'm going to be hitting my fourth year anniversary here in a couple weeks. Yeah. And the funny thing is, it was really, I don't know. I'm very honest about this. I believe it was a true like divine intervention. Some people like to call it serendipitous, but I don't think anything happens out of coincidence. And Flute 360 was actually my doctoral thesis. And so I was very, very blessed to have a search committee that was thinking very avant-garde, thinking, let's do something that's going to like propel our students into their careers, something that they can use as the launching pad, to really help them. And not that performance guides or like an actual dissertation doesn't have validity, because they're amazing research. But what can we do to have this like interdisciplinary project that's really going to teach them how to build a website, how to, and I've learned pretty much in these 4 years that I've done 360, I feel like I've received a 4th or 5th degree. 4th degree, speaking with people like you and examining your careers and how you teach and how you play and how you articulate things. Oh, you get a Lisa Nelsen, a Marina Piccinini, a Don Bailey, Lee Pearson in my earbuds every week. Oh my gosh. And the amazing thing is, that sounds really selfish, but the amazing thing is this information then is shared to the younger generation, to the older generation, amateurs, all the way to professionals. And it's like, that gives me goosebumps that I can serve in that way. And the 5th degree is the marketing of it, the building the website, the tech side of things. And so I could get on that soapbox forever, but to circle back to your question, it actually was a pre-pandemic project. And I've just been going.
Yeah, I think, isn't that funny? It's because I think you're right. I think it really serves people, and the resource is amazing. And please, I need to stay in touch with you too, so we can put something up about it. Because I don't know how many people know about it here. We've got things going, and we've got something here called the E-Flute Festival.
Yes.
that went online. Is this the second one? Oh, Abby's going to kill me. One of the girls who interviewed me, the one that you saw, it's her baby, and she's gathered a whole bunch of us again to work on it. And it just exploded. It was just necessary and needed. So she's not sure, though, how much she's going to get, how many subscriptions she's going to have for the festival. Mm-hmm. Because last year everybody wanted it. Now we're starting to go live, so I don't know if people want to be locked into doing something on screen the whole time. But she's doing something hybrid now, and she's gone to one of the music schools where she teaches, and she's going to do a few live events as well and just record them.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, I'm really pleased she's doing that, and it's taking it to the next level as well, because we want to keep, now that we've got it. I mean, my brother was doing this with where he teaches at Bloomington. I almost said Northwestern just because I know. And he was teaching remotely for 10 years or so, and he got all the kit and all the computers and the microphones and stuff. But he's also ramped it up too for his own podcasts and chats that he had online. But I'd wanted to do this for years because he was doing it. And it's so nice sort of that this sort of happened, as you say, serendipitous, and a shame that it had to happen through a horrible time. But I think it's connected so many more of us now to share all this stuff as well and give back. And also selfishly take on board, because like you say, I get all these people in my ear, and they're talking and they're playing and marketing. Like when was it you or Beatriz sent? I think it was Beatriz sent out the subject matter, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could talk about performing. I could talk about being a soloist, kind of, and all this stuff. She said, tell us about being the chair of the British Flute Society. And I just thought, I'm very proud. This is amazing that I'm in this position because of the people that came before me. And I'm Canadian, but I've been here for 30 years now, so this isn't going away, by the way. Yeah. So my life is here. My friends, my colleagues, and everything I've done. I've still got some at home and some like in the States and stuff. But I think it was there were two things that when from being on the council for so many years, I still feel Canadian in many ways, but it's all turned into the accent's a bit weird now, and I know more about what's going on here. When I was sitting in a council meeting with someone else's chair, and we were discussing trying to get events for the future British Flute Society or British flute players to go and do events and perform, so that we could support young British flute talent. And Kate Hill, who's a flute player, recently retired, was discussing this with everyone, and she was waxing lyrical about this and that. And she looked at me and she paused and she said, she put her arm around me and she said, "Oh, my dear, you're one of us now. It's okay." And I walked out of the meeting was at the Royal Academy, and I walked out of there on cloud nine thinking, oh, I own this now. I'm fine. Thinking, everybody seems to talk about, what do you call it? Impostor syndrome, and part of me, because I didn't go to a college here, or, I didn't go through the system, that still creeps up every once in a while. And I've been in sessions and I've played with orchestras, but I've not been a member here. I do stuff on the periphery, it felt like. So to have someone like that to me say, "Oh, no, you're one of us," I go, "Oh, that's great." It felt really good. And then the same lady, and she's amazing. She's one of my mentors, and she was, when I was studying with Trevor Wise, she was just one of the epitome of Englishness, first of all, but English flute playing, and wonderful teacher. And she would gather her students. I used to think she was quite severe, But she's beautiful player, and just she was one of the best mentors I've known, and a friend now. And I called her up after a few weeks after becoming chair, because she was on the council, and she was one of the ones to put my name forward. And I was feeling so dejected because I wasn't getting things done. I thought I had to do everything. I thought I had to make sure I knew about the accounting and all the promotions and everything. And I was just feeling useless. And I said, why did you put my name forward? And she just looked at me and she said, because we knew you'd be stupid enough to take it. And then I kind of paused again, and she said, oh, yeah, you're kidding, right? It's fine. You'll be fine. So I call every once in a while and say, and she said, well, it's fine. It's fine. You're doing fine.
When I resonate with that so much, because in 2011, the Texas Flute Society board had put my name forward to be president for the 2012 festival. And at the time, I don't know where the current numbers are in the States, but in the States, NFA obviously is like the motherboard, the mothership of like flute festivals, right? At the time, Texas Flute Society was the second largest flute society in America. And so I hadn't held such a position like that. And same feeling of just this imposter syndrome, like, what am I getting myself into? And at the time, Maria Harmon was the vice president with me for a little while. And she's a violinist and a flutist in the Texas area. And she said something to me that I'll never forget. She goes, Heidi, you're going to learn as you go. You're not going to have all the answers right now. And that's okay. You learn as you go. And the minute she said that, this huge weight was just lifted off my shoulders. I'm like, oh, yeah. You mean I don't have to? ... But going back to that, that little piece that you said, how the imposter syndrome kind of creeps up. Is there anything that you do, like self-talk or meditation or another resource or tool that you kind of like bring yourself back down and say, all right, Lisa, is there anything that you do to work through that? Because I've heard that, not a nugget, but I've heard that pain point with so many artists and musicpreneurs and teachers where I think it just makes us all human, right? How that imposter syndrome sneaks up. Is that something that you find in your students? How do you manage that?
Wow. You just opened up at all of it. It's all of that, I think.
Okay.
Meditation, I don't know if I do consciously, but I do know when the buttons are being pushed to get away from the situation almost completely and just do something else. Either put on some really loud music. It's not orchestral. And sometimes that helps. Or just go for a walk, exercise. In the immediacy of the thing, though, if I'm up performing and I see somebody I know, or like once there was Trevor Y, was at one of my performances, and I was playing something, and I know I'd done it in class. And I just had to keep saying, no, he's here for you. He's supporting. And it's that sort of self-talk a little bit too. And then I remember what it's like to play for my students when I want to share things. And it's not a kind of, if I start to compare myself too much with other people, either in this position as chair or in the position as a performer or a teacher, I kind of take myself back to, no, I'm sharing this with people. This isn't telling people this is how it goes, or demanding that they play this way, or demanding that they learn this way, but it's just giving them the information. And if they like it, this is a hard one though. If I can't always get to the point of, if they like it, great. If they don't, too bad, because I'm such a people pleaser, much to the chagrin of my husband all the time, because I will say yes to everything. And I like making people happy. I like sharing or helping, just drawing them into whatever story I'm trying to tell. So it's a little bit of all of that, I guess. And it's making it fun as well, or enjoyable, especially like connecting. One of my favorite things is connecting with my chamber ensembles too, because I found some really good people to play with. And if I don't have that, I'm such a grumpy girl. Because if we don't have rehearsals or anything or chat, then yeah.
But I love what you said about sharing, and that's a little nugget that I pulled out from podcasting. You know, when you get behind the microphone and you're talking with the Lisas and the Amy Porters and, you know, the Paul Edmund Davies of the world, you can feel like, oh my goodness, like who would want to listen to me talk and things like that. But when you realize like, oh, I have something to share, you know, and comparing yourself, you're right, can be really, it's a dangerous road, because we all have our unique skills and a really unique, beautiful talent stack that only you can offer the world. And so how you explain something or how you share it in your own and from your own perspective is unique to you. Yeah. And once we can remember like who we are as individuals, then there's no reason to compare flutist A to flutist B, or, you know, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but there's also it's not really a chemistry thing. You're allowed to have an opinion about how somebody plays, or you're allowed to like something over something else. But sometimes that can change, because I was listening to, I'm not going to mention the name, but I was listening to the Prokofiev this morning. It was on our BBC classical music station. And at this time, too, because people are sort of canceling it because it's assumed he's Russian, and because supposedly there's a lot of military in the music. And I find that a shame, because he's Ukrainian, actually. And it's hope and it's life. So anyway, this player was playing, and it was so full of so many things I wouldn't necessarily teach my kids, like breathing in different places and stuff, but it was so exciting to hear this player. And I realized it was somebody that I had really disregarded in the past, but it made me so happy, and it gave me a lot of shivers this morning. It was wonderful. So
interesting.
Can't always stick to my, I can be opinionated, but I'd like to think I can shift as well.
Yeah.
When push comes to shove, really.
Yeah. No, I love that, because this player had something to share, something to offer from a new perspective. And you're like, oh, interesting. I wouldn't have necessarily done that or taught it that way, but it's convincing. I get to hear their, you know, their point of view.
Yeah, I keep going. Actually, my legal advisor for the British Flute Society, Matt, when what were we doing? We were interviewing for one of the positions, one of the officers for the council, and we had 4 that we really liked, and I had 2 that I really, really liked, and a couple I wasn't sure. And he said, just be careful you don't get a yes woman or man for yourself, because you don't want someone to agree with you all the time. And you want new ideas, and you want to share, because you need a good base for other people's opinions. And that was the best advice. Okay, I'm not taking the 2 I like. I'll take the other one. Who do you like? So that's helped us have a more balance on the council as well.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's really smart. And going back to the British Flute Society, I have been keeping abreast of what you guys have been doing. Whoever your marketing person is very consistent through Twitter and the different social media channels. So kudos to you guys.
Oh, thank you. That's Sophie. Sophie was an absolute gem to get on board. And so many ideas I would love to use from her. It's if we hadn't had her, we wouldn't be where we are online right now. And again, it came at the same time as the pandemic, that we had just had our website almost finished, was when everything shut down, and we could see it coming in. It was July 1st that year, 2020, that we went online properly, and it was a usable website. And I can't I can't fault those guys, because I was on the council when we went online the first time. 20 years ago and 25 years ago. And that was a huge deal back then. So, but I've seen it come through that too. Oh, come on. Can we just get out of the dark ages? But it was hard. It was really hard. People, because it's a charity, people give of themselves. Like, it's almost all volunteer. Sophie is an officer though, so we do pay for that, but she still puts in way more hours than she gets. And it's a crime, because I think, well, crime might be a big word, but I mean, she has done a lot for helping us have the presence that we do. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Besides,
so thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Sophie. Shout out to Sophie. I love it. So you mentioned that you've learned a lot in this position of being the president of the British Flute Society, from learning from your other board members, right? Things like that, having a virtual presence and all that jazz. Is there anything else that you've really learned throughout your term that you want to share with people? Like, shoot, cat got my tongue. I'm not even sure. Because I know when I've worked with nonprofit organizations, I've learned, kind of going back full circle to the top of this conversation, we talked about opportunity. When I worked with these nonprofit organizations, and I know you have such a heart of gold, your heart is in the right place because you want to serve. But at the same time, because you're putting people in your orbit, you naturally are networking. And because of that, opportunities unfold. And this is something that I've been shouting out from the rooftops, because a lot of 360 listeners sometimes, and I'm just as guilty, we kind of, get in our comfort zone and say, why aren't the opportunities showing up for myself? Where are they? And something that I've been preaching from the rooftops is saying, pull people in, because relationships and people will let you, and it will foster those opportunities, because we can't do it alone. No. And I think of the years when I worked with Texas Flute Society, and I think of the amazing board when I was a newbie in 2009 with being the volunteer coordinator, or the little program book coordinator, things like that. I got to meet amazing people like Larry Bailey and Christine Cleary and Tara Richter and Mary Sanchez. And these people are not only dear friends of mine, but they helped me build my flute studio when I moved from Louisiana to Texas. There are people who have been cheerleaders for me throughout my career, and vice versa. So anyways, all of that's to say, do you resonate with that on some level? And is that something that you would like to also shout out from the rooftops?
Oh God, I could shout. Yes. Because networking it wasn't a dirty word, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't think I did. I've got my dad to thank for that, really. Because he's both my parents were opera singers, but dad's a farmer at heart. We had this pig farm back near Edmonton, and he would just walk around talking to anybody and starting up a conversation, and he would sit there for hours chatting with farmers, and he'd go and visit the older people from around the area as well, and just to make them feel just make them feel like they're accepted and talking with people. I suppose he wanted them to feel valued somehow. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what I think when I'm speaking to people, but it was really lovely to watch. And when he had Alzheimer's as well, he would just sit on a bus next to somebody and start talking to somebody, or be doing his walk. When they moved to Toronto, he would just walk around the block and just pick up a conversation he'd see the same people on his journey. So, and in doing that, I think the three of us kids as musicians have become, we value that. We really love to connect with people, and which helps our music for one thing, but also to, I guess it's the connections and networking, to call it that. Yes. But I found also, I don't know if this is a skill, but connecting other people together. I'm useless at using, I feel, and it's not even feel guilty. Oh yeah, I know that person. I'm just going to ask them for a masterclass if I'll go and do that. I forget. to do that. It might come up in the at some point. Sorry, but it might manifest in another way. So, but I'm getting very good at connecting people for the BFS, and we've had some amazing people come to judge for our competition, and then so I've connected them together because they have to judge together, and it was so nice because I can see the friendship starting up from across Europe, and meeting Beatriz as well. I mean, that was. Wow, I don't even know how that happened. I think we saw each other on Instagram, and I thought she'd be good for the competition, just because she was looking at the same kind of thing. I thought that'd be good. Also, events and just and playing together, because it's not just about it's about the playing together, yeah, but it's about having something in common together and chatting and. Yeah, networking for my own gain has been really crap. So I don't know.
You're not wrong, like, because I think we don't do it as musicians, and maybe we're not taught how to network, because you're right. Like, I don't know if this is the right word, but I'll go for it. Historically, when we hear networking, it almost has this like sleazy connotation to it, does it not?
Yeah, exactly.
But when it comes from this genuine place of saying, I want to get to know you, just because like and you mentioned it, there's a common thread. I'm watching you from afar and noticing like, oh, you're also active here and your passion is this, and just starting up a conversation. And from there, like building that relationship from a very authentic place. That's when like those opportunities unfold, because we can all smell people from a mile away when they only have their interest at heart.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when you go to the conventions or wherever and you're meeting somebody, that to me, I think is very apparent. Like, I think it's innate within us as humans to notice like, oh, this person is just trying to like me, and they may mean well and they may not recognize that they're doing that. But I think when we come from this like win-win approach, like how can we both serve each other? So there might need to be another word besides networking that describes that.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know.
It's sort of a name game. I don't know if you probably, I think everybody gets into this, the name game when I go around the world now, because it started because of the position where my brother is in Canadian brass. And when he knows everybody now, and he just goes around the world with the group. And okay, now I know quite a few people, and my sister's at the symphony. And so now I feel like I'm name dropping, but she's in the Boston Symphony. So that it's our connections are wonderful. But then if I go places, then I can call them up and go for beer, or and we tell stories. And I mean the stories. Maybe it's story collectors. I don't know. Or information gatherers together.
Interactive.
Something more.
Interactive storytellers. Interactive guru.
Yeah. But I've heard from my brother that I've taken on my mom's sense of humor, which is not that. I mean, I have a sense of humor, but you don't tell jokes very well. And he'll get on with his. They all did a chat, the Canadian brass, and they'd had 5 days. I think it was tuba one day, trombone another day, trumpets another day, horn another day, and then they'd have all 5 of them together. So they would get these different, I watched it just ravenously, because you'd hear all these wonderful stories from all these other musicians. And I think that's a nice point to come, which was actually my interest in the BFS in the first place, because I didn't know a lot of people, having come just to do Trevor Y privately with his studio, to go to a convention and just go and sit and have a beer and watch the masterclasses and things, and then go have another beer and maybe have a couple more. It was great, because I remember that we had one of my most memorable ones was Manchester, and Marco Granados came over, and we were up dancing in the Royal Northern until 2:00 in the morning, and they had to shut us down because the poor guards needed to go home. And it was so much fun. So I thought, yeah, this is actually, I love doing this.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing. Yeah. You and I will have to coin a new word for, to replace networking. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think there needs to be something. There's something more than that. It did feel a bit like a dirty word, and it did feel like I was looking for. I find it hard to look for opportunities. Usually, the things open up and they present themselves, and then you can either say yes or no. I am very good at saying yes. Let's get on board with that, and not always about money. It's like this kind of thing. So
So I want to kind of go back just a little bit, because talking about this networking word and building opportunities, you said something that was genius, and I just want to highlight it because I don't know if most people caught it. How you make it a point to bring people together. And I think that is a really good characteristic of a leader, because you're thinking of everybody, right? And this analogy of like a leader being at the tab of a zipper, and the prongs on both sides are people, and you're just going zip, and you're going like this, and you're saying, hey, like Jane and Joe, I don't see a collaboration necessarily happening, or maybe I don't have time, or whatever the case may be. Lisa and Jane and Joe, oh my goodness, like they would be really like amazing together. And I hope to work someday with Jane and Joe, but for the time being, let me zip them together, and you're being that glue that binds them. And isn't that so fulfilling to be able to say like, oh yeah, because of their new relationship, this flute society or this flute festival or this masterclass unfolded because of this new bond.
Yeah. Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
That's, I couldn't have described it better. Actually, I love watching that happen. It's something it brings a lot of joy to see those kinds of connections, really. And we see it, I think it was last year when we did the first online competition, and we'd never done sort of a chat with any of the competitors before either they performed or showed the video. I suppose before they performed live, they would have been a bit uptight anyway before doing the competition. But doing the videos, they were quite happy about doing that. And learned a lot, and we reached people all over the world, and some of them have been in touch with us again, and some of them have been in touch with each other because they'd watched the videos and, oh, they're there, I know somebody there, or it's sort of linked that way. I get a real kick out of it, watching it, and it serves sort of my desire, like you say, to connect people, I think, which how sometimes people feel a bit selfish. Like, I love being in this position to be able to watch it all. But I really don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be the boss. And I'd like it to take, because this is my second term, and I'd like it to take a life of its own pretty soon and go off in another direction if it can. Because we have the people on the council work together really well, and it's just trying to gather more people to connect that way too. I like the zipper thing.
Oh, thanks.
That's really cool. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think it is magical, and it is very fulfilling, because my student right now in California, she's in her 60s, and I connected her with this composer in Frankfurt, Germany, or is it Berlin? But Ronnie and Pam. And they came to some webinar that I was doing, and afterwards in the little like mingling, post content live Q&A, they got to talk. And in 5 minutes, they realized, oh, we have a lot in common. And boom, now she's commissioning him to write her a piece. And it's like, so cool, that you get to be a little sliver of that. And now they have their own relationship, and now this new magic gets to unfold. And what alto flute piece is going to come out of this interaction and be put into our flute community and, in the flute repertoire catalog. And I don't know, I just think we need more of that, because if I necessarily can't work with Ronnie in this season, then he should be working with Pam and Jane and Joe and whoever would be a good fit. So I just wanted to highlight that, because when you said that, I was like, there is a characteristic of a really good leader. So kudos to you.
Wow, thank you. You don't you don't expect it when you get in this position, because like I said, so much of it is like, how much stuff can I keep in my head at one time? Yeah. But that's what sort of everybody else is in charge of too. It's just their own sort of section. And it's hard sometimes if somebody's not feeling up to it, or just really busy and can't handle things, just to make sure that you feel okay to sort of let it go. But with such a small council, sometimes we do suffer a little bit, because we're volunteers and we don't always have enough people on the ground to do the work that needs to be done. So we're behind the moment on events, and wanting to get things done after the competition. And we're going to have to chase some serious dates and events to get going. But it's because we've had some of the people were just having trouble. So, and we don't want to push that really, and don't want to push the button. So that's a bit tricky too.
I don't want to impose, but because you mentioned that some things are kind of dropping to the wayside because, there aren't enough people volunteering, because we have these airwaves and you are talking with flutists from across the globe. Is this a call to action, or like a proposal saying, we would love to have like 10 more volunteers? Is that something that you want to announce? Like, is this an opportunity for somebody out there?
It is, if anybody's out there really who would be interested, but it's sort of knowing about the British, a little bit about the British system, because we're mainly focused here, but it is international. And we have a plethora of flute players who have artistic visions and things on our council. But the groundwork is having sort of a little bit more business-minded ideas as well, of how we can hone our ideas so that because I'm one who gets tangenting really easily. And a friend of mine sent over an idea about some connections. And of course I went, yes, that's great. I thought, oh my God, I have no time for this, but it was a good idea. And I will constantly do that with ideas. So we need some people on the council with a bit more administration and business sense, who can learn really quickly, and sort of help with the day-to-day. It's not really a grind. It's just a day-to-day upkeep, so that we can move forward. And we have all the basics in place, but it's some of the volunteers we need to help with with little bits of watching things. So if anybody's there who is interested, that would be amazing, because we'd love to get back to events, and we just have too many little things that we have to spend time on. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, don't cut that out.
Okay.
I hope the council don't mind me saying that, because
no. And it's kind of like, my listeners kind of laugh at me because 360 full circle. I love when things come full circle, and we're talking about opportunity and building relationships. And what a wonderful way to say, hey, actually, if you are a college age or graduate student or postgraduate student who hasn't had that opportunity to work with a nonprofit organization, to build a flute festival, to build these different flute events, what an amazing opportunity to work under the mentorship of you and the other board members to not only build those relationships like we've been talking about, but to gain that knowledge and to have those skill sets, start running through your career, because I think it's an asset, don't you?
Very much. And I think you and Beatriz have helped me see that too, because I think it's important for the students to have those skills. Like you say, this has been such a learning curve for me as well, on all fronts, on how to keep, first of all, the balls in the air in every facet of a council like this or of a charity, but also to learn about charity commissions here, to learn about how the finances work, budgeting, taking minutes for a meeting as well, and the protocol that needs to be done. I mean, I'm big one for letting that go because I just, something's, oh yeah, and then I'll totally go off piece. So, and it's learning how to be focused. It's learning how to relate to people without letting we're allowed to have egos, but it's doing it. It's not even I can't even say selflessly because I'm very selfish about keeping this all going. I think there's a very big merit in keeping the British Flute Society sustainable. Whether it's monetarily or with volunteers. I think it's going to end up being volunteers. But it's an important resource and umbrella so that we continue to do and connect this way with people too. So anybody can come in and learn that. And to have interns, I'm going to discuss with the council about interns, the way I've seen other societies doing it as well. So hopefully at some point, but it feels almost too big. Parts of me loves it being small and a lovely little network of like there's 10 of us. There are only 10 of us running this thing.
Wow.
And it's small. So to have more people, it would then have to be those 10 having their own little pocket of maybe 2 or 3 volunteers, just to keep their own side going. Because I can just see it's like the swan on top. We all look very serene on top, and then madly paddling underneath, going which we're doing right now.
I love that. Yes. Because I'm thinking of a guest that I had in December. And you watch organizations like yours and these musicpreneurs, I'm putting kind of like music and entrepreneur together, musicpreneurs doing their thing, right? And, like Sarah Whitney is a violinist and she was a December guest. And that's how I would describe her, like, this swan, like on top, it's like, ooh, beautiful. And everything looks all together. And she's like, girl, no. And she's like, I'm, over here. And I love that because like under the water, it's just like chaos with the feet. Oh, I'm going to use that from now on.
Yeah. And I think, yes, but do it now because, life keeps going on. You never know what's going to happen. And if you're able, just keep it going. So I'm trying not to think too far ahead, and I'll let other people think far ahead. But there's so many things the opportunities are happening now. And I think now is the time to connect with people. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So circling back to you being a guest artist through Tampere Flute Fest, what are some of the things that you are most excited about? I know you will be performing. Will you be giving a masterclass as well?
Not at the moment. No, I haven't been asked to do the live things yet. But we just judged for the what class is it? The B class. So it was 12 to 18. It was incredible. I can't say any more than that because it hasn't come out yet, but the levels were incredible. So very impressed. And I remember there was one 12-year-old, one 13-year-old was just the ability and the music, just letting go. Fantastic. Wow. So the judging, that was a judging. And then last week I gave an intern talk about this kind of thing. So we had somebody from, there were the 3 of the interns that Beatriz had, and then Diogo, who had been an intern last year, and Beatriz and I was basically just a love-in between us because I can relate to that. Being a chair, I can do that. So I'm hoping. If Beatriz wants me to come over, that'd be that. Yeah. If I'm allowed to say, am I allowed to say who I'm an artist for? My flute company?
Yes, go for it. You're Yamaha, right?
I'm Yamaha, yeah. And so I love my flute. So I'm playing it every chance I can. So we're hoping maybe if they could sponsor, because they're sponsoring me to be the head of the jury this time.
Okay.
For the competition. So maybe we'll have to see. But there's not a lot happening because of Hamburg. We're saying that it's just too hard to organize still at the moment. for things to happen. So I'm very grateful to them for supporting me to help them out now.
Oh,
it's
nice.
really good.
Yeah.
But still opening up.
Yeah. So do you mind sharing what your repertoire looks like for your recital program?
Well, I've got Martinu, the sonata, and I have a little, Trevor found another sheet, sort of an alternative to a little bit in the middle bit in the sonata in the first movement.
Okay.
The da da dee da dum, ba da dee da 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 da, and then he's put it up the octave in a couple places, and there's a rest there. So it really makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to do that. And there's a new piano part. There's a different piano part. Trevor gave us this 30 years ago, so I don't know why it hasn't been, or there must be a reason why it wasn't published. But it's quite nice doing this alternative that was found in Martinu's notes. Of this piano part in the second movement. So that's another one. I've got a piece by a fellow named Frank Horvat, Music for Self-Isolation. And he's a Canadian composer. And I just heard it on BBC on the radio. And so I'm hoping to collaborate with him again at some point. And I can't remember. I haven't looked at the stuff. Tomorrow, though, I'm doing something with my harp player. So but that's all in my head. We're doing a Ukrainian. My grandfather, my grandmother, my great-great-grandparents, and my great-grandparents are Austrian Ukrainians.
Okay.
And because it was quite a fluid border back then. So I've got Ukrainian folk music I'm doing tomorrow.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah. So I'm quite excited. Yeah. I'm really excited. It's just like a sanctuary concert. It's just sort of for somewhere where people can come and just sit and let go a little bit. Yeah.
How nice of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of programs and music because I see your stand and music on it. Do you mind sharing what is on your stand?
No. Well, actually, at the moment, that's just my Pan magazine.
Okay.
That's the latest one. That's Emily Bynon, as principal of the Concertgebouw. What is on my stand right now? Bohm, the exercises, the 12 daily exercises.
Sure.
And I have number 2 and number 3.
Okay.
That was this morning.
Nice.
And the Martinu. And what else was on it? Carr-Gaillard studies.
Lovely.
The caprices. So,
wow.
A bit of a smattering. And then these things for the harp, flute and harp thing for tomorrow.
Oh, how lovely. Yeah. Will the concert or, the harp and flute concert, will that be live streamed?
No, but it will be a podcast. Because my harpist, Eleanor Turner, is doing these every second Thursday in March, every second Thursday in March. Oh my God, every second Thursday in the month, and it's in a city or a town not far from here called Stamford. Okay. And she does. There's a church near where she lives, and she's just called it Sanctuary. It's not really. She doesn't want to label it as a concert because she's not charging.
Oh. Okay.
But it's something she's going to do, or that she has done. And already put the first one up for a podcast. And this is the second one. And it's just music. So the artists that she's bringing in to collaborate with, we're allowed to navigate how we want to do the program. And just because of my Ukrainian background, I thought I'd bring that in. So there's a bit of Bach as well. And I can't remember what the other one. Oblivion by Piazzolla.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Yeah. So it's just somewhere to go. But I have to keep it together because I don't want to get too emotionally involved.
Oh, I'm sure. So, yeah. Do you know the name of the podcast?
I can find that out. I can send that to you.
Okay.
It's Sanctuary.
Oh, okay. The name of the podcast is Sanctuary. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, neat. And okay.
I think I might even do I have it? Nope, I don't have it anymore.
That's okay.
But I'll find out.
Because it's being aired through, a podcast, I would love to provide the link for the listeners to listen to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll send it to you.
I'm dying to hear you and Harp. How beautiful.
Well, we do have we've got a few things on, like, over the last 15 years or so that are up for, I think it's under Eleanor Turner. It could be under Aquile.
Okay.
Aquile duo.
Okay.
Can't remember. The last one I think we did, because we did Save My Life, because we had a church nearby that we would go in our bubble and rehearse and do live stream concerts, and we did a couple courses from there as well. So it was good. Saved me, totally saved me. But I will find that for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
So I know that we're at the top of the hour, and I want to respect your time. This has been extremely fun for me, and thank you for playing with me because of the fun and your warm nature that I was witnessing through other interviews and YouTube links and things like that. I was like, ooh, I want to mix it up and I always do this with my guests. I try to get to this space of conversation where it doesn't feel like Q&A, like a formal interview. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I know I've done that plenty of times. But the more I get into this, and I was noticing like your infectious laughter, with your two friends. I'm like, ooh, she's going to be fun. I can play with her and kind of. So if you were expecting like a formal interview, I apologize. And the only,
No, I'm so grateful for this. No. I'd much rather, no. Yeah,
okay.
No.
In a way, with how information is so shareable through the internet. And, I want people to look up Lisa Nelsen, and read your bio and read your phenomenal career being a Yamaha artist and playing in these orchestras and teaching at the schools you teach at. We can find that information, but to like get to know Lisa, and what she's learning through being the president of the British Flute Society and what you're learning through the pandemic and talking about these real, things in real life, and to pull that out, I think that's where the magic is.
I really appreciate that. And I think please keep doing it. Okay. And please keep connecting with people, because I think it's a gift to be able to draw people out as well. And we don't have to conform to you don't have to conform to a Q&A, which is brilliant. And to conform to what we were talking about before, you have to be like this. But I think it's great what you're doing.
Cool.
So,
thank you. Is there anything that, now speaking of Q&A, because we are wrapping up the conversation, is there anything that you would like to leave the listener with? And the funny thing is, because our conversation has been so natural, and thank you for, just being so warm for me to have fun with you in that regard, reminding myself that listeners will actually be tuning into this. Now I'm like, I'm kind of switching gears here a little bit, but is there anything that you want to leave the listener with? Because we have talked about a lot of different things. So, and I know this is kind of a blanketed question, and I don't mean to leave you hanging, but is there anything, that you want to tell the youth, or something that you've learned from the pandemic that you want to pass down to the younger generation, or a sliver of hope that you want to offer to fellow teachers, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, there is something with sort of through my brother, because he teaches fearless performing, and I love teaching how to perform, how to be in front of people. And it's called fearless performing, but it doesn't mean that it's a lack of fear. And I think that's for teachers, for students, for performers, it's embracing the fact that there is fear, but choosing something else. And choosing the sharing, choosing the performance, choosing even stealing. Don't be afraid to steal from the teachers. That's what that's what we're here for, Look for those opportunities. Accept the fact you're probably scared, choose something else, practice making the other choices, and enjoy that.
Yeah. Didn't Eleanor Roosevelt say something along those lines of do something that's kind of challenging or fearful at least once a day? I think that was her, but basically what you're saying, step outside of your comfort zone and choose that for yourself, because that's how we grow, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was something I just read too. I think my brother might have put that up too. There is no growth in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Move. Get up. Move. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And that's the thing. And it's not easy, right? But if you're okay, the thing that kind of like helps me navigate those things, I try. I'm not perfect at this, but the one thing that helps me is reminding myself to be okay with the no's, to be okay with the rejection, to be okay. And I think that's why we stay in this safe space, because we don't like to hear no. Who likes to hear no? I don't, but it's inevitable, whether you put a challenge in front of yourself, whether it's a competition or whether it's, being the president of the British Flute Society, you have to put a challenge before you in order for your wings to almost, expand and to meet that challenge. And it's not going to be perfect. But that's where you're going to grow. And, with that, like if you are competing for that competition and you are setting that challenge in front of you for a month from now or 2 months from now, you could get a no. There's only one or two or three winners, gold, silver, bronze, or whatever, their setup is. You could get a no, but what could you learn in the process? And that's more invaluable.
Yeah, you've just started a whole other conversation, because I'm a huge believer in going into competitions, doing all those auditions, and it's hard to be rejected. It's as human beings, we don't like rejection. It's really, and I think there are the people who take the rejection on board and build that second skin, but do they build it big enough to not want to be wanted either? Like, is it something then you can't get past the second skin to actually share stuff, or can you have that second skin and still share stuff? Like, because you're going to be rejected in some cases. That's one of the things, because I'm doing 50 auditions or so, but I'm still playing and I'm still enjoying being with people, and it's okay, it's fine. But I know a lot of people that it's built sort of a chip on the shoulder as well. Because they've been rejected, or they see themselves in different places in a different scenario maybe than what they're doing, and then they become bitter with it, and that's a shame, because in the competitions, as you say, it's the growth, and it's meeting people and share and listening to the other people that are playing as well, and pushing yourself. How far can you push yourself? How far can you play, like playing these massive concertos without collapsing on the stage, or still focusing and still having those ideas and still putting out those wonderful sounds continuously, and not always the same, as you say. Perfect. I don't like the word perfect either. Perfect is kind of but it's making that I don't know, that painting or that flower or that thing grow and become what it is for that time. Like hearing the Prokofiev this morning, that wouldn't have usually been a great performance for me, but it was this morning. If I'd heard it maybe in a different place, I wouldn't have, but it was wonderful this morning. So yeah, but she doesn't know what I think.
Right.
She or he, sorry.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter, because it's still out there.
Right.
Yeah. So
I love that. Developing that tough skin.
Yeah. Which you can still be sensitive soul and still develop that, I think, and still develop that second skin.
Yeah.
But you can still be touched by things, and you can still be reached by people. And can you still make yourself vulnerable, though? Can you have the second skin and still be vulnerable?
Interesting. Yeah. That is an interesting balance, right?
Yeah.
Huh. You're onto something, though, because I remember a comment from, and I don't think she'll mind because she was a past guest, but Dr. Lee Pearson, who's into body mapping.
Yeah.
I remember a comment. I said something on Facebook on some thread, and it had that angle of and that perspective of tough skin. But she also kindly reminded me in the comment, Heidi, there's a soft side too, that vulnerability that needs to be there also. Like there needs to be a balance of the two worlds. So I've heard something along those lines, exactly what you're saying. And you need both, especially being an artist.
Yes. Yeah. And you think of all those artists that have suffered for their art. And even hearing stories about Beethoven when he went through even more in depth than we had known before. It's tragic, sort of how in turmoil he was while creating these works of art. Do we all have to go to that point? I don't know. It'd be a shame if we did. But out of that horrible turmoil that he was in were these beautiful works, really. And to touch into that, I think is necessary in some ways, but also, but we don't all have to go through hell to be artists, do we?
Yeah.
I suppose we each have our own story to tell too, and no
Right.
one's going to know really what we've all gone through with it.
Yeah. No, and bringing it to a couple other guest artists' conversations within this series of highlighting the Tampere Flute Fest. Jenny had said that, and her episode is going to air here in a couple weeks. Yours is going to air this Tuesday, actually. So it's a quick turnaround. Yeah.
Okay.
And Jenny, her episode is going to air 2 weeks from now, and she talked about being an artist and going to that space of vulnerability and showing empathy, and how, and then Sebastian, who's episode 199, he talks about like, we all experience pain to some degree, right? And a lot of people like nowadays, and he suspects, with all of our tablets and our phones and our devices, it's so easy to kind of run away from it and say, oh, I don't want to sit there because it's uncomfortable. But he was kind of encouraging everyone to be okay with, like what you're saying, our stories from grief and those traumatic experiences that we all face on some level, to be okay to sit there, because that's what's going to make you vulnerable and be able to share your story. And you don't necessarily have to articulate through words, but we get to articulate it through our instruments and how we interpret the text. And, of course, being true to what the composer wrote, but being able to bring your own perspective to the table is what makes every performance a little different, like the Prokofiev this morning.
Yeah. We don't know what her backstory is at all, but my God, she did. I mean, it was so passionate this morning. Really, it was wonderful. We can't mind read. That's another thing that students don't try and mind read the people who are on the panel or your audience, because you don't know. You can empathize and you can try and manipulate a little bit, but you'll never really know that they're sitting there going, oh my God, she sounds like poo. Because, that's not what they're there for. They want to hear you play. They want to hear what you're good at. So, and that's another side of the vulnerability that I want to hear people play like that too. Because just give me what you know.
And I think it goes back to that piece of what you said with Trevor Y, and that imposter syndrome piece that we were talking about, but going, and talking about these adjudicators and judges, they're here to support you, they want to support you. And I'm connecting the dots from our conversation, little breadcrumbs here, little breadcrumbs there, and piecing it together in a gingerbread house.
Yeah, it's me and my tangenting too. Put it all together, and Yeah, well, you've got all my brain cells, just the gray matter's just fired up now. So, yeah.
Oh.
My poor student in a minute is going to be in trouble.
Oh, shoot. Likewise. I've loved this conversation, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and your life and your stories. And thank you for, this time.
Thank you very much. And seriously, we will, I'd like to just put something up that says, have a look at this. We need to make it known. So that'd be really good. Thanks for sharing everything.
Oh, I so appreciate that. Thank you, Lisa.
It's okay. Let's connect again at some point.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we'll be in touch.
Okay. Lovely. Okay. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope that the content has served you well. The thing that I would love for you to do right now is go to my website at HeidiKBegay.com. That's HeidiKaybegay.com. Go to the right-hand side of my website and you will see a tab called Subscribe. Click that bad boy and type in your information. The reason being is because I send out a weekly newsletter and it's jam-packed with value. These past 2 months alone, I have sent out discount codes on my friends' classes. I have sent out links to free ebooks and so much more. So if you're not on that newsletter, then you can't get those perks and discounts, links and codes. So go to HeidiKBegay.com, join that mailing list, and I can't wait to see you there. Thanks. Let's talk about flute.